Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit's scoring depth has finally started to show off. What's changed lately?
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Today, Scotty, obviously the topic of conversation, as referenced a second ago in the cold open, is the fact that the Red Wings have been scoring more goals lately. And that was a hot topic of conversation between you and I and the rest of the greater fan base about the fact that early on in the season, despite all the chance generations the Red Wings got, they really weren't finding the back of the net. Well, that seems to have pretty consistently turned around in the last 14 games. So we will talk about that as well as what's leading to that, and is it sustainable, before we talk about the Calgary Flames as the Red Wings play the first half of a back-to-back on Wednesday against that team. So before we can get to any of that, I got to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. All right, Scotty. You know, one of the things, it was Mike Kelly, who is with the NHL Network and FanDuel Sports Network. You see him on the broadcast all the time. He quote retweeted a graphic that they had talked about a month ago when the Red Wings were like 22nd in actual goal generation, despite being very high up in expected goals, and about how that other shoe is gonna drop eventually. So it made me look into exactly how good the Red Wings were, and that those statistics that he was quoting were 22nd in goals per game, and now they're 12th in goals per game. I broke it up between the first 16 games of the season and the last 14 games, the most frequent 14 games of the season, because that 14 games ago is when you scored a lot of goals against the Anaheim Ducks, and so it was kind of the kickoff point for the Detroit Red Wings this season on their scoring depth really getting going. It was the 6-3 win, and then the 13 games that followed, it just continued that trend of scoring at least 3 goals. And you can see it if you're watching on the show sheet. The Red Wings have scored 3+ goals in 11 of the last 14 games, which is a much better clip than we had seen the previous 16 games to that, when they were struggling to score 1, maybe 2 goals pretty consistently. I mean, the 3 games prior to that 6-3 victory were a 5-1 loss, 4-1 loss, 1-0 loss. So, on top of that, in that span, the first 16 games of the season, Scotty, the Detroit Red Wings were 27th in goals for, with 44 goals. They were 26th in goals for share, so that's goals for and over goals against, at 46%. And they were 10th in expected goals share, 52%. So again, that goes back to that idea that we were talking about earlier in the season, where the Red Wings were generating a ton of shot attempts and getting opportunities, but they weren't finding the back of the net. With their expected goals rate being so high, we knew that at some point the scoring would come along and start finding the back of the net. Well, in the last 14 games, again, starting with that 6-3 win over the Ducks, the Red Wings are 3rd in the NHL at all strengths in goals for, with 49. They're 13th in goals for share at exactly 50%. 49 goals for over 49 goals against at all strengths. That's 13th in the NHL, so right around middle of the pack. And then 6th still in expected goals percentage at 54%. So while their goals have gotten, they're now 3rd in the league in goals for, their expected goal share has actually gone from 10th to 6th in that span over the last most recent 14 games. So obviously a huge jump for the Detroit Red Wings. They're scoring way more consistently. My question for you is, what has changed?
I don't think anything. I really think the only thing that has changed is the opportunities that weren't finding the back of the net now are. This is something that, I mean, as you just kind of illustrated there, they had been getting opportunities well before this stretch. I think that now the question is, what is more realistic to expect going forward? What we have seen over the last 10 games, or what we saw when they were getting opportunities and not able to put the puck in the back of the net? I think that it is always more beneficial to at least be getting the opportunities, even if you don't, fulfill them. It's still better to at least put yourself in a position to have those opportunities than opposed to obviously not. So you'd like to think that they have the ability to maybe not like this exact level, but like a decent level of production. I think I know it's, kind of like a cop out, but I think it's just the depth players are finding the back of the net and they weren't before. Like that's really the only glaring difference. And that's a good thing. And now you need to be able to rely on said depth players going forward to continue this level of production as a team.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a few things. One of them is that big thing we always talked about when they weren't scoring is the regression to the mean. The Red Wings at some point were going to score more goals. We knew it was going to happen because for them to play 82 games with the shot volume they were getting, shot attempt volume they were getting, to not score goals for 82 games, just it was not. The rarest of rare exceptions would have had to have occurred for the Red Wings to not find the back of the net playing the way they were for as long as they were. So there is regression to the mean in that 14-game span that I was just quoting, in which the Red Wings have really found the back of the net. Their team shooting percentage has jumped from almost dead last in the league, where it was previously in the previous 16-game sample size, to now 8th in the league at 11.5%. So that's just what it comes down to. The pucks are finding the back of the net, and I think what you said there is, you talk about the biggest reason, it's the depth scorers. Obviously, all season long, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat, Emmett Finney started off super hot, obviously cooled off pretty quickly there after, 10-game stretch where he was unbelievable. But other guys stepped up. Moritz Seider has really, really stepped his game up. He's on pace for 62, 63 points now. He's one of those guys who's absolutely stepped his game up. But the forward lines have really found their groove lately. They've really started to gel, and we talked about it on yesterday's episode. But I don't think any one player has provided a spark to the depth scoring more so than James Van Riemsdyk, who we've talked so much about, right? Sure. 4-game-long goal streak, which is the longest in his career, and he's scored goals in 6 of the last 7 games. He has been absolutely unreal for the Detroit Red Wings, a huge boost for their depth scoring, but he's far from alone, Scotty. I mean, you look at other guys on this roster. JT Compher in the last 7 games has 5 points, a goal and 4 assists. Andrew Kopp in the last 3 games has 4 points, 2 goals and 2 assists. Michael Rasmussen in the last 6 games has 4 points, 2 goals and 2 assists. Axel Sandin Pellikka has 4 points in the last 3 games. And that's obviously a lot of those sample sizes I just gave you are much, much shorter than the 16 games prior to that. A lot of those 16 games prior to that where they were finding the back of the net was still because of the top-end players getting rewarded more often than not. On top of that, you had Ben Sherratt and Simon Edvinsson and Moritz Seider from the back end really heating up offensively. But now in this last few games, on this 5-game point streak, it's been the bottom 6. More often than not, that's been scoring goals, or Andrew Kopp in this instance, who's jumped up to play second-line center. Like, the guys that weren't going before have finally gotten going, and that's even true on the defensive side of things, too, as I just mentioned. So, what changed? It's your depth finally found lines that they gel with. You have James Van Riemsdyk, Michael Rasmussen, and JT Compher's line that has played very well the last few games. And you have Nate Danielson, Marco Kasper, and insert winger here, Elmer Soderblom most recently, who have played super well too. Andrew Kopp's been great as 2C. So it's a little bit of everything. It's pucks finally finding the back of the net as you knew they would. They were playing too well for them not to. Finding lines that players gel with. And then also just the depth forwards that weren't in your top 6 finally being able to contribute and having their play reflected on the score sheet.
I agree. And again, like the big conversation point then, after how we did get here is, are we going to stay here? Or
Right.
is it going to revert back to DeBrincat, Larkin, and, nobody else can score? So I think that's kind of the question now. But again, you can't score if you don't give yourself good opportunities to do so. And they've done that, whether they've put the puck in the back of the net or not, which bodes well.
Yeah, and that question you just posed is a really good one. I think that's a great place to lead off with in segment 2, so stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. The holidays are amazing, but they can also get overwhelming fast. Travel, gifts, parties, year-end expenses, it's really easy to lose track of your money this time of year. And that's exactly why Monarch has become such a game changer for me. If you want to keep your finances under control this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch, rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, simple dashboard. The holiday spending category can become a lifesaver. You can see exactly what's left on your gift and travel budget in real time. And it's great for couples. Shared dashboards, shared goals, and fewer wait, how much did we spend conversations. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. Thank you for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now it's time to take it up another level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Red Wings with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Just go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Scotty, segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. As you just mentioned before, the big question here is the offense is finally clicking. The expected goals has turned into real goals now. They're one of the top 3 teams in goal scorers in all situations the last 14 games. The question, as you posed it, is it sustainable?
Yeah. I mean, it's a loaded question. I think that their true scoring level is higher than what we were seeing for almost a month there. I genuinely believe that, and I think that they have given themselves, or they consistently give themselves, too many opportunities throughout the course of a game for it to be as poor as it was, at one point a few weeks ago. In the same breath, I am not fully convinced that it is as high as it's been for the last almost 10 games. I still have enough question marks when it comes to the true goal scoring production outside of the top, say, 4 goal scorers on the Wings, to make me just be like, oh, well, they're going to get a lot of opportunities, so surely they'll take advantage of all those for the rest of the year. I still have my reservations about that, but I do think that it is sustainable to be at a higher level than they were at one point. Does that make sense?
You raise up a good point, Scotty. I think what you said there is true, that they are scoring really well right now. They might not be this good forever, because, taking out of the account, right, 3+ goals in 11 of the last 14, they've scored 4+, and I think last 4 games. That they're probably not going to continue to score at this clip all season long, but I do think that the scoring uptick is sustainable overall. Might not be as high as we've seen it, but I think they're going to be consistently a pretty good team at scoring goals, even if they lack the high-end finishers, because they just produce a lot of shot attempts. They get a lot of shot attempts, they get a lot of pucks on net, and over time, you're going to wear down a goaltender. I took the even strength or the all strengths out of it when it back to 5-on-5, because obviously when you're looking at the goals for numbers, the power play is going to be a huge contributor to the Red Wings' goal scoring prowess. They have a very good power play. So looking just raw at the 5-on-5 numbers, across the season at 5-on-5, they still rank 12th in expected goal share, and their goals for is 16th. In that 14-game span, their expected goal share is 13th, so actually a spot below that. They've dipped just ever so slightly in expected goals, but their goals for is 7th in the league. So they're scoring slightly above their station right now, probably just a smidge. But I think that, this is basically where they've lived all season long, in the top 10 to top 15, and now they're getting rewarded for it. Before they weren't. I think that this is a lot closer scoring production-wise what we're going to see out of the Red Wings all season long with the depth going, because that's the thing is, again, all season long up until this point, the Red Wings were not getting depth scoring. It was on to 3 or 4 players to provide the offense. Now all 4 lines are contributing, and some of the defensemen as well. I think that is going to continue. Obviously, your top 6 is going to give you the bulk majority of your offense, and they should, but you depend on your 3rd and 4th line to chip in a goal here or there, and that's what they've been doing. And they've been playing that way all season long. They just weren't getting rewarded, and the numbers, as I just pointed out, still support the theory that they should play pretty consistently like this for most of the season. Now, obviously, there are ebbs and flows throughout an entire season. Larkin will get cold. Raymond will get cold. You have moments like this where JVR is ungodly hot. Like, some players are going to cool off, other players are going to get hot. You're going to have stretches where the Red Wings can't score any goals. You're going to have stretches like right now where they're scoring 4+ goals a game. But throughout the course of the season, when Game 82 has played, I think that they're probably going to be a top half of the league in goals scored. Now, goals allowed will be the other problem, but we're not talking about that today. You need John Gibson, maybe not to be 39 save John Gibson like he was against Vancouver, but you need him to be better than he has been, and hopefully almost as good as he was. Same with Cam Talbot. And while I'm talking about John Gibson, fun fact, while John Gibson has been statistically one of the worst goalies in the league, he last night put up the best performance by a goalie in the NHL all season long by goals saved above expected.
So crazy.
Isn't that just wild? And that's what you're talking about. You're like, man, I really hope this is a confidence booster, because obviously good John Gibson is so good, but it's just almost funny that he's, I think, 6th worst in the NHL at goals saved above expected across the season, but then he puts up the best performance out of any goalie so far this season. So, yeah, the biggest thing for them they can continue to score goals, but if they can't stop the puck, they're not going to go anywhere. So that's why that game by John Gibson was so reassuring.
Yeah. Well, and like we kind of beat it to death yesterday. It's one of those situations where even if you are a hot goalie, really fixes all, right? Like even if the goal scoring comes and goes, whatever, et cetera, if they can get solid production from net, because not only if Gibson is the bell cow and is really good going forward, then that makes Talbot better as well, right? And so I think that ripple effect probably is the biggest impact on what the team is going forward, even more so than anything else we've talked about today.
100%. Scotty, let's head to another break. When we return, we'll preview the game against the Calgary Flames, so stay tuned to that and lock down Red Wings. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place live bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover, or 2 turnovers if you're Jalen Hurts. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So, if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, Scotty, the Detroit Red Wings play, this is going to sound familiar, one of the league's worst teams in the NHL tonight. That's going to be the Calgary Flames. And they are having a really, really rough start to the season. I don't know if start to the season is even accurate anymore, as we're like 30% of the way through this thing at this point. But thus far in the season, they're 12, 15, and 4, sixth place in the Pacific Division. Like the Canucks, they're one of the few teams in the NHL that are below a 500 points percentage so far. They are getting scoring from Nazem Kadri, at least assists, and assists from Rasmus Andersson, but they don't have a single guy on their roster who has over 10 goals so far. So really when they do score, So when they do score, they're spreading the puck around a little bit, but they just don't score a lot of goals. They're one of the worst teams in the league at 5-on-5 at scoring goals. Their expected goal share is a little bit better. Actually, their expected goal share at 5-on-5 is excellent. It's 8th. So they're a team that maybe you're looking at as breaking out, kind of similar to the Detroit Red Wings at some point, hopefully not against the Detroit Red Wings. And their shot attempt share at 5-on-5 across the season is 12th. So they get a lot of shot attempts on net. They get some good high-danger shot attempts, but they're just not scoring. Sounds very familiar to those Red Wings we were just talking about not that long ago. What it comes down to, Scotty, in the NHL is it doesn't matter who you play. The NHL, more so than any other sport, is an any given day type of sport. The Red Wings lost to the Nashville Predators like a week and a half ago. So they might be bad, but this could be the game they pop off, so can't take them for granted.
Yeah, of course. And this isn't a team that, I mean, as you mentioned, has like zero talent on it, right? Like they certainly have guys that have produced in the past at a minimum. I think the biggest thing is you just want to play, I guess this is like a super boring comment, but like you just want to play sound, like simple hockey, stay out of the penalty box. Calgary's penalty kill is actually one of the few decent things they have going for them. On the flip side of that, they kind of need to be because they have the most PIMs in the entire NHL. So like maybe that's an area that you can take advantage of, right? You win the special teams, you win the game against Calgary most of the time. Their defense isn't horrible. Their offense is. They as you mentioned, they barely score any goals. Their goals against over the course of a season is in like the top half, middle of the pack of the league. It's not completely awful. So another game in which if you can put up a few goals early, you should be good. But as we've seen plenty of times, it's easier said than done.
It sounds like you just called the Calgary Flames penalty kill merchants.
Right. That's a thing. Yeah.
So, goaltending-wise, Dustin Wolf, who they just signed to a massive extension, is having an okay year. It's hard to with the save percentages across the league dropping every single year, it's hard to gauge what is a bad save percentage now. 897 for Dustin Wolf across 24 games played would be bad 5 years ago. But with the save percentage hovering around 900 this season, it's like slightly below average. But their backup, Devin Cooley, 11 games played, a 920 save percentage. So I'm really curious which goaltender the Red Wings will see in tomorrow's game or tonight's game by the time people are listening to this. Right. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to the fact this is a team that generates a lot of opportunities, struggles to score, has a very good penalty kill, but not a good power play because they struggle to score. So don't make stupid mistakes. Hope your goaltending in this one shows up and is sound. And you should be able to. Should is the operative word. Because, again, as I just said, any day in the NHL, any team can be beaten. I mean, so Gibson's hot, right? Like he's played back-to-back games where he's gotten the win. 3 goals against in the first game. And then a shutout. The best performance we've seen from a goalie all season long in the NHL on Monday rather. But you play Edmonton the very next night in Edmonton, and you're going to want, on the second half of a back-to-back, No. I'm throwing Gibson out there against the Flames. And you want to know why? Because the kids are going to be, their legs are going to probably be pretty dead on the second half of that back-to-back. And so you give yourself Gibson, who at this very moment is probably your best opportunity to win in net, against Calgary, secure the winning road trip, and then just hope for the best against Edmonton. Because Edmonton's red hot. So maybe just take the best opportunity to win against Calgary and then just hope the team can grind one out against Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I'm not messing around with
matchups.
I'm just like I'm not overthinking that or screwing around with momentum or anything like that. I'm throwing Gibson immediately back out there. I don't care if they played the Hershey Bears. Like I'm throwing him back out there and just keeping him hot.
Well, and think of this too. If you do Gibson tomorrow, I mean, that's another extra day of rest for Talbot. We know how good Talbot can be when he's well rested.
Yeah.
I think hasn't he played for both of these teams too? It's gonna be another homecoming, so to speak, for Cam Talbot. Every team he plays against is a homecoming. Minnesota, New York, LA, Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah.
I know. When I do a puck doku and I am stuck on a player,
he's a good one.
Cam Talbot.
He's
Cam Talbot, Mike Sillinger, Jaromir Jagr.
Sillinger's the big one,
right,
for sure.
Corey Perry's
Corey
another
Perry, yeah. I was just gonna say that's another decent one.
Yeah, that's where I'm landing on that one. And finally, before we wrap this up, we talked a lot about depth scoring today, and I meant to bring it up in segment 2, but it slipped my mind, so we'll wrap back around to it real quickly here. Michael brandsegg-nygard with the Grand Rapids Griffins has 14 points in 16 games. He's found his scoring touch down in Grand Rapids. So, I wonder how long, and I know he's one game away at the NHL level from burning a year on his ELC, and I know that Steve Yzerman is probably keeping that in mind. But if the Red Wings go on another scoring slump and he's tearing it up down there, I mean, I think with an injury in general, he might be the next man up. Yeah, he's playing so well. And he didn't play poorly with Detroit. Like, defensively, he was phenomenal. He played the heavy body. He just wasn't at the NHL pace yet. And he was already so close. He's kind of found his groove. He's got a swagger back down there in Grand Rapids. So
I think I got my swagger back.
All-time clip. And I know that nobody talks about this element, but Charlie Langton being the one to interview him was the best thing. Charlie Langton is an absolute gem. That's an all-time clip.
It is. It makes me so happy that's like here. Like that.
Yeah.
That was De La Salle at Ford Field. Like just the best.
That clip's probably older than people who listen to this podcast. Like that clip's getting up there.
That's unfortunate because I remember when it first happened and everybody at school was doing the
got my swagger back. Great clip. Scotty, do you have any final thoughts for this episode? We do ball. We'll be back with a game recap tomorrow. Thank goodness this one's a little bit earlier. I think it's an 8:30 start, so it won't be a 1 a.m. recording for us. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.